not playing.
And that in a show starts in. There's counters there. It'll be interesting if they can actually hear us already.
I think they can.
Welcome all to
So why isn't it showing on my side?
The Rugga Muffin Podcast.
Where is this thing going? Oh, okay. We're going, ne?
Okay.
And
That sounded better though. What did you do there?
mute.
Rugga, rugga, rugga. Rugga, rugga, rugga.
Rasmus, your favorite rugby fan. Welcome to the Rugga Muffin Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time coming. We're excited to be here. If we are not in the studio, we are most probably going to be at the nearest bog town, nearest pub, interacting with you all. All we're trying to do is just to bring you the content, guys, being the barrier between the Springboks, between the Stormers, the Sharks, the Lions, Griquas if we have to you guys. All right, so this weekend, guys, we did have a couple of results. We're just going to browse through, guys. We're not going to be too long here. Wherever you are, thank you. Wherever you are sitting right now, thanks for joining us. So this past weekend, we had the URC. URC, we know who the finalists are. The Bulls are going to be staying in Europe. They will be playing Leinster in Dublin. What a performance by the Bulls. I was really impressed by the Bulls' defense, if I might want to add. If it's worth talking about what they could improve, I did feel like Glasgow was going around a bit easy in the beginning of the game. Those loop passes continuously worked to a point where they got those 2 tries. But I think the Bulls did manage to sort all that out. But my issue is Leinster do similar things, but with Leinster, they set you up first. You know, Leinster like to get a fair playground. They want to grind you down first, get their physical dominance, and then they start swinging it wide when you think you are acclimatized to that physicality. So I hope the Bulls can be able to maneuver from keeping it tight to going out wide. But I think the Bulls have got a lot more questions that they want to ask themselves, especially pertaining to, look, it's a weird one to touch on. We know who he is, Mr. Iceman, Handre Pollard. He was malted this weekend. He was proper liquid when it came to just his ability to kick penalties. He only got 1 conversion, was it? I think he got 1 conversion. Got the first penalty, first points of the game, 3-0 it started. And it was bad. I mean, the game was 21-10 at some point. I think that was the halftime score. But to then win the game 22-21, what a comeback by the Bulls. But let's just hope that with Pollard, it's a matter of him just having a bad day. We don't wanna put things like nerves. I mean, after 2 World Cups, we can't, when we describe you about all the accolades, but then still say you were nervous in a quarterfinal. We know that you've done it a lot in all the finals in your life, from the under-20 to the 2 World Cups. There's probably penalties you've taken when you were in the Prem. There's a lot of penalties that Handre Pollard has had to take under pressure. Yeah, it got us really thinking of it last night. I enjoyed listening to the Xhosa commentary. They had a few comments. Kaya Malotana there. They had a couple of comments with regards to what they think was going on with Handre Pollard. But Stormers as well. A lot of us called, I mean, going into the weekend.
Hold
we all
on,
felt-
hold on.
Yo.
On the Pollard, what were they saying?
Who?
Okay, Malotad.
No, 100%. Well, I mean, they were just saying that it does seem like, you know, in cricket, when you doing things to the ball, that type of things, you know,
Oh.
it did feel like it was in a
Was
joking
he
manner.
trying to do a Hansi? Is that what they are?
They were like, there could be, did he get an envelope? Because it just, I mean,
He
how-
left 11 points on the, what do they say? Off the board.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think you can afford that. I mean, we can stand here and talk about what could we be. If the Bulls had lost that game,
Yeah, it would be a whole different
yeah.
talking point,
If the
right?
Bulls had lost that game, I think we are sitting here dissecting Handre Pollard and subsequently probably asking questions as to why he's even. Well, look, if that's hectic because if the Bulls had lost, they would then be eligible to be in the squad that you're going to talk about just now. The issue, not that it's an issue, but the thing is now, because they're in the final, they were not considered. So now seeing a Handre Pollard name in that squad after that performance, I think would have added fuel to the fire. In a sense that here, I mean, he's still selected, he's still part of the Springbok after such a performance. But I mean, I find it weird, and I think it's part of almost the privileges you get from achieving a lot, I guess. In a sense that I think we should also be a little bit respectful when we speak about 100 Pollard. I mean, he's been there, he's done it. When he decides to call it, when he has a bad day, how much can we accept? It's just one of those things, man, especially with all these youngsters pushing from underneath.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing a lot of this. We are going to talk about that squad, guys. I don't want to dive into it just yet. But I do want to talk about the Stormers. I do think the Stormers, going into this weekend, they probably were on the shorter side of the stick. A lot of people did see the Bulls potentially winning, considering they were playing in Edinburgh and not in Glasgow, playing in Murrayfield on grass. Those were all the positives going towards the Bulls side. Obviously, traveling being the negative. But the Stormers were the one team where not a lot of people saw it coming. I mean, going against the Leinster team, who I don't know I don't even think after this performance, a lot of their fans are happy with regards to how they lost against Bordeaux. I think there's still a lot of questions with regards to the coaching setup. I mean, our beloved Jacques Nienaber, always the one to be thrown under the bus there when things don't really go well for Leinster. We did see even Leo Cullen, the head coach, his head seemed to be going under the chop there. People, you know, the fans, the media, having a lot of opinion. But I did think the Stormers going to Leinster, I think this is the test for Leinster. If Leinster lose this final, I think a lot of calls will probably be made. A lot of people already assuming that Jacques Nienaber will be with us by the end of the season, or at the end of this year. So I don't know if you've got anything to add there with regards to the Stormers. Look, we're not going to dwell too much with regards to referee calls. We did see Salman Murat get that yellow card.
Oh, yeah, that's the talking point there. The Murat kick. Was it a kick? Was he trying to disturb the scrum half? How did you read that one?
Look, for me, we play a moving game, we play a fast game, but it does seem like the referees, what they have to judge is a picture. And I think the referee for the day, Holly Davidson, had a particular picture in her mind of what had happened, and it was pretty clear what she thought had happened. What she thought had happened was deliberate, that Salman Murat deliberately kicked the ball out of Jameson Gibson Park's hand, which then led into, like, obviously it's a professional foul, he gets a card, but a lot of us feel there was, I forget what the prop's name is, Usanov. Usanov was one of the reserve prop from Leinster, literally straddling over Salman Murat trying to stand up, as he probably felt that maybe he was in the way where the ball was coming out. But then because you don't have your arms, the only way you can stand up is to wiggle your hips. And I think from him just moving his hip, his leg came up and he kicked the ball.
Wasn't there talk that one of the assistant referees had called it not to be a foul or a bookable offence?
From which team? From Stormers?
No. One of the assistant referees.
Oh, they did?
Yes, there was talks that they did. I went through Twitter not earlier yesterday, but after the match, and they were talking on that. Okay, my Twitter account is not here. Anyway, yeah.
But again, I think it's a good thing in a sense, because who actually makes the final call? Holly Davidson was very clear that she thinks and believes that it was deliberate. So whether the touch judge felt that it was not, I guess it's a good thing to see that that call is still up to the head coach, because we've seen it in the past where it's the touch judge who's actually making the call and not suggesting anything to the actual referee on the field. So if anything we can take out of that interaction is that the person who was appointed to make all the right calls made the call that they felt was the right one. And many could argue that if then that incident was just a rugby incident, it would then mean that it would be play on and then the try would have stood anyway. So we can't really dwell much about it. But guys, a lot has happened over the weekend. We're going to move. Obviously, the Bulls are moving on. They will be playing Leinster, like I've mentioned, on the 20th of June, same day that the Springboks take on the Barbarians, and the same day that the Springbok A team take on Zimbabwe in Gqeberha. So we are going to touch on that. But before we move on to that, we want to say congratulations to the Blitzbokke, the Springbok Sevens team, for once again being donned as the champions in Bordeaux, France. Losing one of their pool games, right, against Fiji, but then managed to pull it off at the end. I didn't catch much of that. I don't know if you've seen any of those games, but I didn't catch much of the Sevens. The women are also doing their best. We have to always keep base and touch base with the women's game as well. They're also doing well. A lot of rotation there, giving a lot of, younger athletes exposed to the Sevens. And I think the Sevens rugby is helping a lot when it comes to the women. You've got all the wings. I mean, your Nadine Roos, Malinga, have all been exposed to that Sevens. I mean, you can see the effect that they bring to the 15s game, especially being quick, coming off the deck after making a tackle, being a threat on the ball. So I think the women must definitely always keep an eye on them. And also just across the seas, guys, we have to keep note, it is the greatest rivalry this year as well. So I always like to sprinkle a little bit of the Aotearoa news. Dave Rennie and his Kubota Spears in Japan win Japan League One with RD Savia. So they go back to New Zealand with high confidence winning that tournament there. A lot of us maybe would have thought with Rennie having to travel now back to New Zealand and then start his preparations for being the New Zealand head coach, I assumed that one of them was going to take a knock. I thought maybe the Kubota Spears, maybe there will be a lot for him to juggle between looking at what's going on in Super Rugby and also making sure that his team is doing well in his own league. He did travel down to New Zealand 1 weekend ago. I think it was 2-3 weekends ago, doing a lot of press conferences there. Had to fly back to Japan. Big ups to Dave. Big ups to Dave Rennie. Maybe he's got a solid team in New Zealand. He didn't really need to pay too much attention to what's going on there. Obviously, Tana Umaga being involved there, and then also the Scottish international. I forget who that assistant coach is. Obviously, with Sir Graham Handre as well being called in as a selector. So that's looking like a solid team getting together in New Zealand, getting ready for this greatest rivalry. But shout out to Kubota Spears. They win. We did see Jesse Creel also shutting down some rumors. So there were rumors. Someone did comment that potentially Jesse Creel could actually be going to Leinster. It was quite an interesting comment that I saw. But Jesse Creel put all those rumors down, saying he will remain in Japan League One until his team, the Eagles, win the tournament. So we won't see Jesse Creel coming back to Bulls or Stormers. It seems to be the homecoming team of the year. Everybody's going back to the Stormers. Damien Diallander is rumored to be going back. Eben Etzebeth. Also, I don't know.
Is Cheslin also going back there?
He's definitely going back.
Yeah.
Cheslin is confirmed going back. Siya Kolisi confirmed going back to the Stormers.
What are they trying to do with all these matured players?
There's a Vision 2029 now. It's all about this depth building. There's a desire to build depth when it comes to just our clubs. Dobson, actually, in his press conference, I'm not sure if it was before or after the game, but he was asked that question in a sense, what are you guys trying to build there? And he makes the point that, a Leinster team, Leinster can send a team to go play a Bordeaux, maybe. And Leinster can have a B team that can also maybe go and beat a Zebre, which is the position that every club really wants to be in at the moment, in that you want to be able to almost field two teams. And I don't know, I feel like with Rassie Rasmus on the helm, sup doc, and how he does everything. I mean, he just released a 51-man squad. you know, it's also that thing of trying to cast your net wide, because you never know how many players you're gonna. I don't want to label it as losing, but you don't know how many players are gonna be, you know, needed in the international setup. So you want to be able to cover all those bases. And I mean, look at the team that played over the weekend. Dobson makes a good point in the sense that this Stormers team, Yuri Matia, Imad Khan, the center pairing, I mean, I think they broke a record. I think it was their 32nd game. The top leading center pairing in Ruan Nal and Den Duplessis. But also looking at the wing, we had Wandisile Simelane, who I thought was defensively was a little bit shaky. But again, the Stormers go in there not with their full strength team, but they are able to compete with the best club team in the world. So I think that they're on the right track. And also, it's also a thing of pride, I think, in Cape Town. I mean, Cape Town, if you look at that away kit, I feel like Stormers are the one team that have got the culture on lock. I do react to a lot of their content. I do chat a lot more there about it just as they do their things. I also noticed in the change room that they do their praying separately, which was an interesting thing for me to see, understanding that one of their captains, Samal Murat, is Muslim. You know, so all those different dynamics that may be a byproduct in a setup, but I think do sort of culminate and bring a team together when there's a little bit of understanding amongst each other. So I think the Stormers with the away kit, beautiful kit. I don't know if you've seen it, with the pink stripes commemorating Borkup, those nice buildings in Cape Town. They're very much in touch with their crowds. They will always park about a few meters away. Then they'll have a tunnel. The players walk into the stadium. You know, that whole thing. And then bringing in a Cheslin Colby with his story of how he played rugby on the streets. I mean, Siya Kolisi started his rugby in Cape Town. I don't want to lie to you, as a Sharks fan, I'm a bit bitter. I don't want to lie to you, because I feel like this whole time Siya was a visitor in Durban, because it's all about him being home now. And I wonder, what was he not doing or doing in Durban that he can now not do or do in Cape Town? You know.
But he beat you fair with two amazing tries, well, against the Zebras, but it was still 2 tries.
No, look, he was. I mean, last season I think he was top 2 try scorers. I mean, Siya do score that. He does know how to score tries. That much he does know how to do. But for me, there's just been a lot. There's just been this whole, yes, welcome home. And it's like Siya Kolisi is coming from France. He literally comes from Durban, guys, and he's actually from the Eastern Cape. But anyway, guys, we need to jump into it. Rassie Rasmus, 51-man squad. I've got it broken down here because I kind of do struggle sometimes with differentiating between a tight head prop and a loose head. I know which number is which, but I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a couple of new guys here. Are we going to pick a team? Do you want me to pick a team? Because I'm looking here. I don't think most of these guys will play. 51-man squad, 2 teams of 23, you get 46, meaning there'll be 5 people out of this list who could potentially not play, and who will probably be reserve cover anyway, because you need that. You can't just have 23. You want to have at least 25 to 26, so that you can have a guy who can cover if there's any injury happening. So with those reasons, I don't think we should dwell too much in picking a team, but we can browse and look at, starting with the loose head props. We've got Oxenche, Ntutuko Mchunu, Buan Fente, and Oliver Reed. Now, if we had to choose, now there's 4 of them there. You do need 2 in a 23. You need 1 that will start. You need 1 on the bench. And I think what Rassie would do now, I do refer to myself as a student of Rassie. I go off everything that I've heard from the man and how he speaks and how he sort of tends. I mean, he does catch all of us off guard at times, but I do think he might mix and match. I think if should Ox start for the Springbok team against Barbarians, we can then potentially see either a Buan Fente or Oliver Reed coming off the bench. And I think Ntutuko would be the leader in the other team. So if you have Ntutuko in the SAA against Zimbabwe, you will then again probably have a Buan Fente.
Wasn't he one of the shining stars in the URC, Ntutuko, at that position with the Stormers?
He is.
So why would you want to put him with SAA and not throw him in the deep end?
Guys, I don't think, now, listen to the student of Rassie. I don't think we must look at this in the sense of an accolade thing.
Okay.
We're building 2 strong teams that could potentially win on the day. So I don't think it necessarily means...
Who's your concern? Zimbabwe for the SAA team? Really?
No, look, you want to put 2 spectacles on the day. You want to put 2 good games, right? And I don't think Zimbabwe are going to come here. I mean, Zimbabwe are going to test themselves. Zimbabwe have got a lot of players coming from all over the world. Player that was playing for the Lions, who also played a lot for the Pumas. Fullback Tapiwa Mafura.
Okay.
He's involved over there. I saw a couple of names, guys coming from the MLR, the rugby in America. There are a lot of guys that came back who are of Zimbabwe. Rassie is a person who likes to get a result out of all his fixtures. And when I say result, I don't mean a win on the board.
Okay.
He wants answers.
Okay.
He wants to know, what do I have in an Oliver Reed? But you don't want to throw Oliver Reed in a situation where it's him and another guy who's not experienced. But my question was going to be between Buan Fenter and Tutuko Mchunu. Who's ahead of who there? Because Buan Fenter is the latest addition and he did pretty well last year and Tutuko was not involved.
I like how you say his surname. You're saying it like a real Model C guy.
Who?
Tutuko's surname. What's his
Mchunu.
surname? Mchunu.
Is it Mchunu?
Mchunu.
Mchunu. My bad.
At least you're not saying Mchunu.
No. I said that behind closed doors. I say Mchunu behind closed doors. So that's what I'm. Even when you go to the tight heads now, the tight heads have got 5. I think for obvious reasons. Tight heads go through a lot of load. Vincent Koch, Neethling Forshire, Handre Jacobs, Zachary Portham, Danny Kruger from the under-20s, youngster. Very interesting addition in Handre Jacobs. Handre Jacobs is a prop for the Sharks. He is quite the scrummager. I do rate him. Very interesting to see him there. I do think he may be involved. I'm trying to look at these guys. Out of these 5, who's the one that could potentially be a cover? Because there's 5 there. You need 4 for 2 teams.
Here's something that stands out for me because leading up to Rassie announcing this squad, there were a lot of people who were talking about injury concerns.
Yeah.
So with this squad that's been named now, this 51-man squad, do you think we still need to be worried about those injuries? What's your take on that one?
Yes, I think we should. The more the merrier is how I look at it. It's nice to give an Oliver Reed a go, knowing Frans Malherbe is also available and he's there to scrum against and get tips from. It's nice to have, for example, if we jump a little bit and look at the scrum halves, you could not have a Faf de Klerk
Yes.
who's not injured right now.
Yeah.
When you are bringing in a Hashim Pete, Imad Khan, Ambrose Papir,
Yes.
guys who haven't been, Nico Steyn, all of these guys haven't really been part. It's only Grant Williams and Faf
Yes.
who will be the 2 guys. And with Grant as well, there hasn't been a definite date that has been put down with regards to his concussion and then when he will be back to be on field. He did get a few games here and there for the Sharks, but it was inconsistent.
So how would you approach this one with your number 9s? You have the SAA team, you have the Springboks.
Wait. Let's go to the locks
Oh,
first.
we'll go up.
Yeah, let's go
Okay,
to the locks
okay.
first. Good news when it comes to the locks. Loet de Jager. Watched Loet de Jager played in the 3rd playoff in Japan League 1. It was the Wild Knights, which is the team that Dielenda and Loet de Jager play for, against, oh my goodness, who were they playing? They were playing Cheslin Colby's team, San Goliath, with Matsushima at fullback. It was good to see him run. I do think he is obviously coming back from injury. He's not at full flight. There was an opportunity that he got that I think if he was 100% fit, Loet would have definitely scored that try. But he did look good. So we do have Loet back when it comes to our injuries at lock. Eben Etzebeth has been named in there as well. Apparently he's going to be back towards the end of June or beginning of July. Franco Mostert, Riley Norton, and Salman Murat. Obviously now you've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locks once again. So you probably have 1 lock as cover. Why do I think Esama Murat may be the one who misses out here and Eben Etzebeth? One of those 2. Because I don't know how ready Eben Etzebeth is. I don't think Eben will be involved.
Was it a shoulder injury that he was suffering from?
Who's this now?
Eben.
Was it a shoulder or a hip?
I don't know.
I think it was hip, they said.
Okay.
Literally 1 game back from his 3-month ban. He got a hip injury and then he had to get a surgery. Riley Norton. Now, my other question is something we could probably just tap into as well while we're here. 27th of June, a week later, the Junior Under-20 World Cup begins. That is where Riley Norton, Donnie Kruger, Sipesetu Nebelele, did we even do hookers yet? I think we skipped the hookers. Siposetu Mnebelele, a lot of these guys are going to be needed in that junior box squad, as they've been added in the 32-man squad and they've not been replaced. So the junior box will start with 27 members in the squad.
You're right. It's a hip injury.
Pardon?
It's a hip injury.
Yeah. So that's another interesting thing to see. Will Rassie play all of these under-20 boys? Does he have to play all the under-20 boys, considering they will all be needed? Now, obviously, they may maybe miss the first game of the World Cup. I'm not too sure how their fixtures are looking like for the under-20 World Cup. But there's also that hurdle with regards to, does a Riley Norton either come off the bench or become that cover in case of an injury? And then you obviously give Eben and a Salman Murat to both of these players. I mean, Salman Murat, I think this was his second game back from his injury. Eben Etzebeth, I guess that would be his first game back from injury. So I do think maybe Riley Norton falls out as a cover for injury. Looking at hookers, we've got Malcolm Marx, who's apparently injured. His team was in the final. I haven't seen the League One final just yet. But Malcolm Marx, Andre Hugo Venter, JJ Kotze, Siposetu Mnebelele, Liam van Wyk. Liam van Wyk and Mnebelele being under 20 rugby players. And I think Mnebelele was eyed last year already, but then he had gotten an injury, so he couldn't really join the Springboks. So I think he'll probably be ahead of Liam van Wyk in terms of, I'm guessing, stacking order. But again, you need 4 hookers. One to start, one on the bench for the Springboks. I think Andre Hugo, JJ Kotze definitely will be involved. And Siposetu Mnebelele, I'm not too sure about Malcolm Marx. I don't know how his injury is looking like. Back rows, Sia Kolisi, Peter Steph Dutoy, Ben Jason Dixon, Paul de Villiers, Sibabalwe Mahashe, Emmanuel Chituka, Vincent Chituka, Ivan Roos, Jesper Visser.
Doesn't look like we've got a lot of issues there, hey?
What injuries do we have there, actually? I think Peter Steph was the
PTSD,
biggest.
is he there?
Pardon?
Is Peter Steph there?
Yeah, Peter Steph was the biggest worry. It does look like he'll be... Paul de Villiers, how can I skip Paul de Villiers? Paul de Villiers is definitely getting a run. Fetcher. The Chituka brothers have... Emmanuel hasn't gotten as much game time as Vincent. Ivan Roos will probably be involved, and I'll give Ivan Roos SAA. Ivan Roos must go play against Zimbabwe.
Where is he? I'm not seeing him here. Is he
Ivan
here?
Roos is
oh,
right
he's here.
underneath
He's here.
Vincent
He's here.
Chituka. Yeah.
Okay. Did he play yesterday?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
The bulldozer.
He had a nice steal as well. No, he did try. He tried to keep those penalties at a minimum. He did his best.
I'd love to see him on, because a lot of people have been saying, why is Rassie ignoring him? And we'll see another person who people have been complaining about. He's in this squad for the centers, but we'll talk on that when you get to the centers.
My question was, I asked a friend of mine, as a number 8, is you being the top try scorer in a tournament a criteria for you to be chosen as to be a Springbok? Because that's what he's been doing. He's been scoring tries. He's the top try scorer.
We want to score tries, don't we?
But you're number 8. We've got finishes. Let's talk about Salman. Let's talk about Salman Murat. Wow. Let's talk about Leolin Zas having the most tries, because then that means that finisher is doing very well. Is he doing the other fundamentals? We've seen him not do those. Just knocking on the ball. I mean, he got a short ball last night in the 22, coughed it out. I mean, just those basics: ball carrying, cleaning. Is he involved in the fetching? Does he want to be a fetcher? Is he doing those things? Tries are cherry on top for a number 8. It can't be your main role. So, yeah, that's just what I think. But if you're looking at, a lot of Lucy's there. And I mean, our Lucy's are also a bit ambiguous, because some of the Lucy's can play center. Some of the Lucy's can play lock. But I think here I don't think there's a lot of change there. Jesper Visser will probably be involved in the Springbok team. And then it's more about chatting about who is the 8 for the SAA. And I would like to give it to Batobele Hlekani.
Isn't he a number 7? Or does he also play that 8 quite well?
Who would you have at 8 between Batobele Hlekani, Vincent Chituka, or Emmanuel Chituka?
Batobele, yeah. Batobele, definitely. For me.
But I do see it will be Jesper Visser 8 in one team, Ivan Roos on the other.
So Jasper will be with the Springboks, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, he will definitely be in the... Because that Barbarians team, one thing we need to be sure about is that the Barbarians team is coached. You can search there quickly. I know Razor is involved. I know...
So what are we looking for? Who coaches Barbarians?
Yeah, the coaches for the Barbarians against the Springboks on the 20th of June. Contempomi, the coach of Argentina, is involved. I'm inclined to think it's also the coach Quaseda. Is Quaseda involved from Italy? Those are 3 intense coaches. and considering the end of year tour and Scott Robinson being the head coach of that Barbarians team, I foresee a lot of All Black New Zealand players being involved in that Barbarians team.
The Barbarians coaching quartet will be headed by former All Blacks head coach Scott Robertson and Los Pumas head coach Felipe Contempomi.
Yes, sir. Is there no third coach there that they've listed?
They should. Let me just open them.
Just check for that third coach. There's another third coach. It's a fiercely stacked coaching group that will be coaching that Barbarians team. So for those reasons, that's why I think Rassie is going to take that game very seriously. Because after that game, we play England.
Patrice Colazzo and Kenny Lynn.
Okay. It's not Quaseda, my bad. Scrum halves, you've been wanting to talk about these ones. Faf de Klerk, Grant Williams, Nico Steyn, Hashim Peed, Imad Khan.
I think you're more interested in Yakin Ahmed because you've been going on about this young man for a while, right?
You keep moving the post forward. Yakin is a fly half. We still talk about scrum halves.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to see Hashim Peed. Is it Hashim Peed?
Yes.
Get involved, whether it's the SAA or maybe on the bench for the Boks. But
Yeah.
I'm already thinking the Springboks against Barbarians, we're going to see Papier. We have to see Papier there. I mean, he's played for the Springboks before, so it's not like it's a new thing. And with his performance in the URC, is he not the player of the tournament?
Yeah, he's player of the... So I think I don't know if South Africa has their own player and then Scotland have their own and then Ireland have their own. But for us, he is the PKT. They said, is it the PKT? But he is the Vodacom United Rugby Championship player of the season. I'm not too sure if it's for the entire tournament or it's for our conference.
I hope that thing is not jinxed because there's a certain Nohamba guy who became URC player of the tournament. He got invited to one of the alignment camps and that was the end of it. By the way, he's also a scrum half.
Yeah.
Well, a utility back. So I hope that position is not jinxed. But I'm sure we're going to see Ambrose Papier come through.
I think the circumstances are very much different this time around. Imad Khan had a game last night. A lot of the Stormers fans are calling and saying, calling it to be the game of the season for Imad. Jeepers, I wish I could have swapped him for Hashim Peed when he got that interception. Just a little bit more gas, but he got run down by the Leinster fullback. Nico Steyn is an interesting one as well. Nico Steyn is the second in command in the Lions. So if you do not have Van den Berg, you get Nico Steyn. And obviously Van den Berg has torn his bicep. He's not available for the next 6 months, not eligible for selection. And then we see Nico Steyn coming in, not Sanele Nohamba. But I mean, guys, Sanele Nohamba has played, I think they said he's played 8 games in the past 2 seasons for the Blue Revs. He played about 5 games in the first season, and this season he played only about 3 due to injury. So I don't think he's not being chosen because of anything. He just hasn't played much rugby, I think. And there are rumors that he could be going back to the Sharks. Rumors. We're just reading Instagram like all of you guys. Fly off. Manili Bok, Vusimoyo, Yakin Ahmed. We've got 3 fly-offs. The question is, who's playing both games? But obviously, with 3 fly-offs, it's good to note that we also do have Zeketelo Siyaya listed with the fullbacks, who is also a fly-off. Luan Chilomi in the fullbacks can also cover fly-off. Damien Willemse at fullback can also cover fly-off. So that's why we've got those 3 sort of out-and-out fly-offs. I do know Yakin Ahmed can also cover inside center. We've seen him a couple of times with the under-20s. He actually started at outside center against Georgia in their last fixture in the tournament that they just had recently in Cape Town. Manilibok in Japan, being coached by Quade Cooper and Will Guinea in the Liners in the second division there. Very excited to see what type of player is going to come back as. I watched one of his games. He got, was it 12 out of 12 kicks over? He scored 3 tries. He broke a record of the most tries or most points scored by an individual. This game would have been played about 6 weeks ago. And every week since then, I kept on watching the highlights, hoping to see a similar performance, but unfortunately not to be seen. But shout out to Manilibok. He's really been playing well in Japan. And then Vusimoyo from the Sharks, who's also got a cap recently for the Sharks at 10, and Yakin Ahmed. I think all of these boys get involved. Looking at the centers, Damien Dial and Lucanio Am. Interesting one.
Where is he playing, by the way? Is he still with
Lucanio
the
Am
Sharks?
plays for the Dino Boys in Japan. Dino Boys is the same team that had Kurtley Arendse when he had his stint, and I'm inclined to think Kurtley could potentially be going back to those Dino Boys.
Have you seen him play? I saw a photo of him on Instagram or Facebook. He was training at Kong. I got excited because that's my hometown. He's my homeboy.
Yeah. I do have quite a popular video on my Instagram reacting to one of his games.
And?
He was playing against, let me put context, he was playing against the team that, Jesse Krill's team. And obviously I was just looking at, obviously 13 versus 13. I'll just conclude by saying Jesse Krill had the better game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard that injury of his did not bode well for him.
And I think there was a lot of rush. I kept on saying every time when he was at the Sharks that he's not ready. The way that Lucanio plays is very instinctive. And if his instinct first is to protect the knee, you lose out on that instinctive offload. That, you know, all the magic that Lucanio would show us. Because now he has to share that with... Yeah, he has to share that with the knee now. So let's
hope he's recovering. Let's hope he's recovered and he will show us the magic that we know him for.
Yeah. Man. Jesse Krill, Andre Esterhuizen, and listen to these two down here. Marcus Muller and Jorenzo Julius.
Isn't Marcus also supposed to be injured? The young 18-year-old with a funky hairstyle.
Yeah. He injured a finger.
Oh,
He's,
okay.
was it like a 10-minute cameo that he had for the Stormers? Injured a finger. I would have liked to see him at the under-20s. I would like to see him.
It looks like a lot of people are not even pinning him for the under-20s. They're already putting him in a Springbok jersey.
It. Psychologically, he needs it. He mustn't skip those endorphins of the under-20 kit. You know, that phase, that part of the growth. He shouldn't skip that. It was nice watching the behind the scenes video before the rugby championship of the under-20s, where they were being given kit. You know, you're seeing these 18-year-old boys, you know, getting their Nike tackies. You know, they're excited. You know, the good rugby players, brilliant rugby players. You would think maybe it's just like a byproduct, but you can just see the excitement that they have and how grateful they were. And I think that builds the fire as you go up the ranks. When you skip a grade, you're going to tend to somewhat take some things for granted. Maybe you didn't have enough time to enjoy, you know, wearing a Nike rugby jersey.
There's always that argument of a Franz Steyn, a Pat Lambie. Didn't they get in at a very young age?
They did. But I'm sure they played under 20 still, a game or two. Handre Pollard. I mean, Handre Pollard played 3 years in the under 20. He played from grade 11. Okay. Handre Pollard. His last final, 2 weeks later, he would go and play for New Zealand. Scoring the most points there and technically beating New Zealand on his own. So we've seen Pollard do it. That's why I'm like, it's very weird for me to speak too ill about Handre because we've seen him.
Yeah.
We know what he can do. But I'm happy to see Jorenzo Julius involved. A lot of people have been asking for him. And I think, if anything, it's just been his defense and somewhat his ability to retain the ball in contact. I feel like those are two things that I always sort of struggle with him when it comes to, obviously, I'm a Sharks fan, Sharks supporter. I do follow the Sharks. But it's good to see him there. Will definitely be a guy who will be involved. Maybe keep that center partnership with him and Andre Esterhuizen in that SAA. And then bring back Andre Esterhuizen, Damien Dial and Jesse Krill for the Springboks. I just don't know. I don't know because Handre is now this guy who can cover flank as well. So I don't know if he's now part and parcel of that bomb squad. Is he now a player that can be selected individually without him being plugged into a system? Questions of being a hybrid. Fullbacks, or rather the back three: Cheslin Colby, Edu van der Merwe, Jaco Williams, Zekete Losiaya, Apelele Fasi, Damien Willemse, Kuhn Horn, Luan Khilumi. Exciting bunch. Zekete Losiaya, another one that hasn't played for the under-20s yet. I think he was involved in those pre-season games in Georgia, but we haven't seen them in a rugby championship. We haven't seen him in these internationals that happened now against Chile, Fiji, Georgia. And he is part of the squad that is going to the World Cup on the 27th, but he will be playing for the Springboks at fullback.
Would you rather have him play just like Muller for the under-20s, or would you just put him in the deep end and have him play for the SAAs before he goes to the junior champs?
Look, no, don't get me twisted. Muller will play for the SAAs, and Zekete probably will play for the SAAs, but they need to leave straight after that.
Okay.
Can they go to the under-20s straight after that? Whether they come in 2 rounds in, these are players that have gotten some URC experience as well. Zekete Losiaya, how many games? I think he got 4 games.
Okay.
He got 2 from the bench, started 1 at fullback, started 1 at fly half.
I only saw him against the Zebra. I think he scored there.
That's when he played 10, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when he started 10. And then Vusi Moyo came in for the 1 game at 10 as well, and then he shifted to fullback. So,
No, Moyo played 10 versus Zebra. Didn't he start at 10?
he did.
And then Ziketelo was 15 there for the last game.
Yeah,
which
when
was
Vusi
against
went to
Zebra.
10.
Yeah.
No, that's 100%. Kuhn Horn, also, I guess, a senior guy at this point, although his caps don't really say that. He's been part of these alignment camps. He has gotten a cap or 2. He has a try as well for the Springboks. I think he got it against Wales.
There's been a lot of talk about him and how great he's been this season, eh?
Kuhn Horn. Let's see. He's got this interesting way of evading tackles. It's like so much in slow motion. Very lateral, but I mean, if you think you've gotten him and you're not sure, he will slip. But I do know his boot is pretty good. He's good tactically. He can control sort of where you want to play, reducing the load on the forwards and everything, fly halves as well. Jaco Williams is another one.
I love Yaku.
Oh, man.
I remember the try that he scored. It was so amazing. I think he chased it. It was against the Stormers, was it?
Warwick Geland.
Yes, Geland. He chased it and Geland was just nonchalant about it. And
Yeah.
Yaku was there, dived and
He
got
was very
it,
gelant
dotted.
about it. Jaco Williams, chasing lost causes will get you a Springbok cap. Ask Edu van der Merwe.
Yeah.
Ask Edu van der Merwe. Chase until the ball stops moving, and you might get yourself a cap. Edu van der Merwe also in there. Luan Khilumi, junior, started with the Sharks. He's now moving to the Bulls. Fullback, fly half. Will be interesting to see. Look, I think if anything with the squad, a lot obviously with the injuries that you already mentioned, there's a lot of cover that that had to be made. I think a lot of the selections that were done, Apelele Fasi is out. Who else then you have at fullback there? It was Apelele Fasi, Damien Willemse is there, but who's Damien Willemse with? And I think, if anything, Rassie is so forward-thinking in the sense that he never wants to find himself in a situation where he has to, for example, a situation that he probably almost found himself in last year where Zachary Pothen had to move from Varsity Cup to straight boom Springboks. I mean, Zachary Pothen wasn't too involved with alignment camps. It was a decision that had to be made, and a week later he had to start or be on the bench for the Springboks. Certain hits, I mean, the hit to Asanatin Tlabakanye, Frans Malherbe still nursing that injury. We're still probably still trying to find a cover for our beloved, I almost said a derogatory word, Plum, prop, Kitchoff. So there's a lot of injuries, there's a lot of cover that we're looking for at prop. If you're looking at your Downey Krugers, there's a lot of youngsters, Oliver Reed being called in, but you'll notice that in positions where there's not too much, there's not a lot of juniors there, but at the same time, you've got Faf, you've got Grant, you've got Jaden who's now struggling with this, but you need to have your Hashim Peeds and everything else. So that is the squad, guys. A very interesting squad. I think we'll all be excited to see when the teams get announced. We are going to have to wait. Next week, we might meet here again at 3 o'clock, and then we might sit and actually potentially go through a team that has already been selected. Rassie Rasmus, we never know when he's going to select
We might
the team.
meet here again.
No, in a sense that does he select the team after or before Sunday?
I thought you were talking about us.
No,
being here.
we'll be here. No, regardless of what happens, we'll be here regardless of what happens. Guys, a quick one. Do we touch on the controversy in the Eastern Cape? Is that something we want to dabble on? Ladies and gentlemen, a very strong stance taken by a group of coaches in the Eastern Cape involved in the Grand Como, which is the under-16 provincial rugby team. That is where the provinces pick their best under-16 players and put a team together to go represent the province. Obviously, you're choosing these players from all the different schools around that province. The under-16 coaches came out, I think it was around Wednesday last week, saying that they are willing to pull out, quit, let's put it like that, because the team was changed. It is not the team that they had selected. It didn't consist of the players that were involved in the final rounds, but rather there were players that were included that didn't even go past the third round.
What is it? EPRU.
EPRU, yes.
Controversy.
EP Rugby Union.
Let's see if they're going to give us anything on this, because everyone has been trying to cover it. I think the Herald.
The thing is, the Herald always wants you to pay an arm and a leg just to read.
The Eastern Province Rugby Union selection controversy involves a heated dispute over demographic quotas versus merit-based selection for South African schoolboy rugby squads. It's been going on. I saw people discussing it on Facebook. And there's a guy that used to teach at my school. He was also commenting on this. I just found it to be a bit interesting. So what's your take on it?
Look, I don't
Should
want to
kids... Okay.
I don't want to dive too much into the politics, but my question was, if you look at the Western Province have got, I think, 3 Craven Week teams. They've got a Western Province 15. They've got a Western Province Academy. Like, it does look like the landscape has changed. I was actually chatting to another mate on Instagram talking about this. I didn't realize that now certain provinces can field more teams due to the amount of talent that they have in that province. If you're looking at Western Province, you've got Paul Roos. Travis Pfeiffer, one of the most talked about rugby players, is in what you would consider the second team of the Western Province, because Van Biljoen from Stellenberg is the number 1 fly half from last year already. So it kind of goes without saying that maybe Western Province do need a lot more teams so that all the talent in the region can be represented, because I think that's what the issue is here with the Eastern Province situation, because the president of EP then comes out to say that he actually backs what has happened. He does believe that the players from areas that are disadvantaged and who probably don't get that much exposure also need a chance to go show their talents. And there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. But should there be no other intervention, like maybe having an extra team? I do know there's an EP Afri. When I grew up, there was a EPCD. There used to be something called country districts. I do know that fell down at some point, especially the border region. It was horrible. They were getting big scores. And then they decided to let go of the country districts. But I do see there's an Afri week. An Afri week, I don't know what the Afri week is about. But it does seem like the Academy Week and the Craven Week all happen in the same venue. So there's also a nice promotion, demotion type of thing. Should an injury happen in the top team, you can call the guy from the academy who can come fill in. But that's where I go to. It's like, why does EP have to resort to these measures? Why not have an extra team to represent?
Here's what I think should happen. Isn't that what Grand Homo is all about?
But that's under 16. Craven Week is under 18.
And
under
then
17,
Grand
under
Homo
18.
is 16, okay. So here's what I saw on Facebook. There were some people who were complaining about selection issues in the youth structures. I think they're from the Mthatha region. And they said, when the selectors selected their team, they said, okay, you selected your team, but we're not happy as the parents. How about we select our own 15 to go against your 15?
Wow.
And guess what happened? The parents' 15 beat the selectors' 15 by 27-5 or something like that. So maybe that could be the approach for the future.
But again, the selectors are not AI, right? Because there's also that human element of who are the coaches, from which schools are they coming from? There will always be that element of bias. We're all human, right? And then another element was added by, I'm not too sure what I was listening to, but there was an element where, you know, the parents that are paying a lot of money for private coaching. I don't know if I was talking to you, but there's money is coming in with private coaching, and there's pressure from these coaches to get these players to achieve the
So
the
this
things
is
that were
what
put.
the complaints are all about. There's so much money being spent and no results being shown because kids
Yeah.
are not making it to.
Yeah. I mean,
to
I work
crave
with
and
athletes too, so it's a matter of me saying to the parents, listen, these kids, he will make ground combo, he will make craving make. I just need to do this. We'll get his speed up, we'll get this and this. And therefore now, I'm guessing if you are in that space, you probably have a few people that you can call, listen, there's this kid I've been working with from under 14. He's now 17. He needs to make Craven Week. Or else the money that has been paid to me with all these promises.
And you just train them. You don't pump them with anything. You know, there's this talk internationally that "Niyapompa nina up."
What does that mean?
You pump them up with roids. Okay, close it off.
Yeah. Sport, isn't it? But just, guys, listen, it was good to have you. Like I said, if you are not going to see us here, you will find us at any Bok Town, pub, stadium, should we make it in there. Just bringing the content to you guys, nice and accurate. If you do make it into a press conference, we do make it anyway, training session. We will bring that content to you guys and enjoy it with you guys and chat with you guys with regards to it. But yeah, until the next video, ladies and gentlemen, Reacting to Rugby, we out.